Hello, I hope you're doing well. Today I will be doing a version of the mid-year book tag. I decided to cherry pick some of the questions from the mid-year freakout book tag, I think it's called, as I felt like some of the questions were a little bit more aimed at YA readers. So I picked out the questions that I felt were a bit more relevant to me. This is the time of the year when a lot of people do their favourite books of the year so far videos. I feel like I don't really read enough to make one of those videos. So far I'm exactly 50% done with my reading goal, which means I'm on track and I've read about 25 books so far. I want to be able to really love a book before I can call it a favourite, so I'd rather just wait until the end of the year to start picking actual favourites from 2018. So instead I thought I would give this tag a go. The first question is best book you've read so far this year. This was definitely On Chesil Beach by Ian McEwan. On Chesil Beach was just one of those books where I could get completely lost within the narrative. I was so in love with the characters and the setting and the style of writing, and it's a really sad book, but this didn't detract from my enjoyment of reading it at all. It's definitely a book I'll be returning to in the future, and I'm really excited for the film adaptation with Saoirse Ronan, which I think is coming out in Australia in August. The second question is a new release that you haven't yet read but want to. I find I very rarely read new releases. If there is a new release I want to read, I usually get to it about a year later, and I find new releases generally really overwhelming because so many come out. One book that I am quite curious to read, however, is The Female Persuasion by Meg Wolitzer. I believe this is about a girl at university, and having just had such a good time with The Idiot last month, also a book about a girl at university, I kind of want to keep that trend going. Number 3 is your biggest disappointment for the year. This was definitely Children of the New World by Alexander Weinstein, mostly because I bought it and then really didn't enjoy it, and so I got really annoyed that I'd spent money on it. If I got it from the library I probably wouldn't have finished it, and it's a book that has been on my TBR for quite a few years because of the comparison that was made to Black Mirror. And I love Black Mirror a lot, and so I thought I was really going to enjoy it. Number 4 is your biggest surprise of the year. I picked Australia Day by Melanie Cheng, and this was a surprise because it's a collection of short stories, and I have not had a lot of luck with short stories. I haven't enjoyed any of the ones that I've read since making the effort to read more short stories, apart from this collection. With most books, I do try to know as little as possible about the plot or really anything apart from a vague synopsis of what the book's about, because I always find it much more enjoyable when I go into something without any expectation. And so most books that I enjoy are kind of a surprise anyway, but I don't think I was expecting to connect to this book as much as I did. I really felt like it represented in Australia that I'd never seen in a book before, and for once, instead of wishing that the short story that I enjoyed was a full-length novel, I really appreciated the short story format for this one because it really worked with providing little snapshots of different aspects of Australian life. Number 5 is name a new favourite author. I'm going to name 3. The way I've defined a new favourite author is wanting to seek out more of their work based on their writing style. So there's a lot of books that I enjoy, but I don't necessarily want to read more of that author's work. With these books, the writing style was a huge part of why I really enjoyed the book, and so I feel like I probably will like their other books as well. So the first one is Ian McEwan, obviously, because having tried to read Atonement before and not enjoying it, I thought Ian McEwan might be one of those famous authors that just wasn't for me, so I'm really excited to make my way through his works. Another author who has a large body of work that I can slowly read is Penelope Fitzgerald, who wrote The Bookshop that I read this year. I'm really interested to read her back catalogue because she has a really interesting writing history in that she started writing quite later in life, and so each of her first few novels are based on things that she experienced herself. And reading over the synopsises, they're all very individual and distinct aspects of her life, which is really fascinating to me. And then her later novels, when she ran out of things from her own life to write about, are historical fiction based on eras of history that she was really interested in. So I'm probably less interested in those, as I always do enjoy books that are quite autobiographical. But once I've read her first few books, and if I enjoy all of those, I probably will continue on to the later books as well. And the last new author I'm really interested to see what does next is Elif Batuman, who wrote The Idiot. I was also watching YouTube videos of her last night, and she seems like such a fascinating person. Question number 6 is what is your favourite book to film adaptation that you've seen so far this year? This is definitely The Death of Stalin. This is from director Armando Iannucci. I hope I've pronounced that correctly. He is famous for directing the TV shows The Thick of It and Veep, and The Death of Stalin takes those same concepts of highly improvised but very well structured chaos about modern politics and transferring that to Russian politics. This was a deeply black comedic film. You don't know a lot of the times whether you should laugh or cry. All the actors in it are brilliant. And for me, not knowing a lot of the details of Russian history from that era, I actually found it quite educational. And I think it's so easy to forget that a lot of really horrific atrocities that we consider very much in our past really only happened about half a century ago. So this film is based off a French graphic novel called La Mort de Stalin by Fabien Nury and Thierry Robin. I'm sure I've mispronounced all of those words. So it'd be really interesting to read the graphic novel as well and see how it matches up with the film. Question 7 is name your favourite video that you've made so far. This is definitely the video I made called Why I Don't Buy Many Books, mainly because this is the only sort of original video that I've made this year. I mainly only have time to make wrap-ups and tag videos. So this was really fun and I got so many really interesting comments on that video, which was my favourite thing. I really liked that it sparked people thinking about their own book borrowing and buying habits. Number 8 is what is the most beautiful book you read this year? This is definitely The Idiot. I just love the cover and I definitely picked the book up partly because I thought the cover was so pretty. Last question is what books do you need to read by the end of the year? So aside from all the books that I've hauled this year that I haven't read so far, I've picked 4 books that I've got lined up from my library that I really want to read before the end of the year. I really want to try and get through some of the books I've got listed on Goodreads as want to reads. Some of them have been sitting on there since I first got Goodreads in 2012. So I really want to read The Age of Innocence by Edith Wharton. I have not read any Edith Wharton and I've not read a lot of American 19th century classics either, so I'm really curious to see what her writing is like. The second book is Carousel by Brendan Ritchie. This is a book from a local author published by our local printing press, Fremantle Press, and I believe it's about a group of teenagers who get trapped in a shopping centre. I'm not sure whether there's an apocalypse going on or whether it is just them getting trapped. I can't really remember. And Carousel is the name of a shopping centre in Perth. I love reading books set in places that I've actually been. Third book is The Watchtower by Elizabeth Tarawa. This is an Australian classic published by Text Publishing, who have republished a lot of previously forgotten Australian classics. I remember this one being reviewed by the ABC Book Club show ages ago and have wanted to read it since watching that program. I believe it's quite a harrowing book. I think it's about a father abusing his daughters. So that's probably the main reason why I haven't picked it up yet, is because I'm not always in the mood for something super depressing, but I really want to get around to trying this one out. Last one is The Green Road by Anne Enright. I've heard so many good things about Anne Enright, and The Green Road has been on my list since it got nominated for heaps of awards when it came out. It's also number 1 on my to read list in my library account, so every time I go into that list it's the first book that's staring me in the face, reminding me that I haven't read it yet, so I would definitely like to take it off that list before the end of the year. So that's the end of the questions. Let me know in the comments what's one book that you really want to read before the end of the year, and or your favourite book that you've read so far, and I will probably add all of those to my already enormous TBR. I hope you have a great week and I will see you soon. Bye!